It's crazy to see the depreciation that electric cars have had over the last 6 months. It's now 2024, and in this video I'm going to be telling you the top 3 reasons why electric cars have depreciated the way they have, and telling you the top 3 electric cars you should be looking at today if you're interested in buying an electric car. Reason number 1 is business lease deals are now ending. If we think back around 2 or 3 years ago, there was a huge boom and surge in the amount of manufacturers putting out electric vehicles, largely led by the fact the UK government said that by 2030 all manufacturers needed to be electric. This led to a huge rise in the marketing and production of electric vehicles, and a lot of businesses taking them on. There was a lot of incentives at the time for businesses to take on electric cars. You pay very little benefit in kind, something like 2% of the value of the vehicle, whereas if you were to buy a combustion engine example, you'd probably be looking up to 37% of the value. So your benefit in kind is much less. As a business owner, your corporation tax was much less as well. You could write off the cost of the vehicle against your corporation tax. So actually, in theory, if it's a £100,000 Porsche Taycan, you might be saving around £20,000 buying it through your business. So a lot of people took this on. Now we're at the end of that 3-year period. There are now 660 Porsche Taycans listed on Auto Trader. And as with everything, when things are more readily available, the price of them goes down because there's more in the market. You've got too much supply and not enough demand. Business lease deals ending has been the first thing really that I think has stimulated a huge drive of used cars being put onto the market. Point number 2 would be depreciation of cars in general. And actually, when you look at it, it probably isn't so much depreciation, but more the fact that we're past those crazy levels of prices cars are selling for during COVID and just after COVID around the world. Now the price of the market has started to normalise, but I do think with electric cars in particular they've taken a bit of a bigger dip. There was some data that was published that showed that for combustion engine vehicles you're looking at a price decrease of around 5 to 8%, but actually if you look at EVs it was more like 30% in the last 6 months. So there's definitely been a higher impact on electric vehicles over combustion vehicles. The final reason that they've decreased in price is because the world isn't ready for electric vehicles yet. We don't have the network or the infrastructure to mean that it's easy for most people to own these vehicles. Firstly, they're quite a lot more expensive than combustion engine vehicles, and as a result less people can afford them. They also require you to be able to charge them at home. If you don't have a driveway, a garage, a place you can park off-road, they're quite a difficult vehicle to manage because you need to be plugging in these vehicles for quite a long time in order to get the charge that you're going to need to use these cars regularly. It was estimated that if you used a normal home socket to charge your car, you're going to be looking at over 24 hours. And that brings me to my second point really around the world not being ready for them, is that charge times are long, and even though it might only be 20-30 minutes, long charge times means that actually the vehicles aren't practical to own. Around Christmas time here in the UK, there were queues of cars outside petrol stations waiting to get onto the EV points because there weren't enough for the amount of people with electric cars that were travelling around. And that's because if you even go to one of the supercharge points, you still might be 20-30 minutes to charge your car. If there's one person in front of you or 2 people in front of you, actually that's going to take you 2 hours to be able to charge your car and get on your way. That's really impractical and very difficult, so people can't really travel distance in them without having to stop for these recharges. If there's a lot of people doing that, you'll be waiting quite a long time to be able to charge your car. And on the same point there, you've also got the expense. Electricity has gone up in price significantly to 3 years ago. And actually what we're seeing is people are paying to charge their car at a service station, at a petrol station, and they're paying sometimes as much as they would pay to fill their car up with diesel or petrol. They maybe need to do 2 charge, each one costs them £40, £50, they're paying £100. They might as well use a diesel or petrol engine from a practicality point of view. There's no doubt that electric cars are brilliant vehicles when they work and when you can drive them. They get you from A to B very effectively, and they're much cleaner and better for the environment, but the practical aspects make them very difficult to own on a day-to-day basis. So now, as I mentioned at the beginning, let's jump into Auto Trader. Let's take a look at some of these electric vehicles. I'm going to pick my top 3 that I think if you're looking for an electric vehicle, these ones have had the biggest drop in price, and probably right now is the right time to pick them up. So the first car we're going to start with here is the Audi e-tron. So e-trons, let's say the Q4 e-tron here, 51, and they kind of go up from there really when you're looking at e-trons. Great cars, full electric, built by Audi. Now if we go over to Auto Trader and look at e-trons, and I've put a Filtron here which is 2022 and above, so basically what, like a year old, something like that. And you can see here the price of them is incredible. So 27,900 for that e-tron there. It's done 7,000 miles. It's basically a year old. And I've also got this little tool called the Auto Trader Price Tracker that you may have seen in my last video I did here on YouTube. It allows you to be able to see the price that the vehicles were listed at and see the change that's happened to them. Really useful tool for seeing what vehicle prices are and what the dealers might have dropped them by. You can see here this has changed by £1,500, etc. Now all these vehicles you can see are a great price if you're in the market for an e-tron. So here you go, 16,000 miles, £30,000. Nice spec, tan interior, been dropped by £5,000 because I've had this on since September. You know, great cars for less than £30,000. You're getting basically a brand new full electric family car essentially for less than 30k. So I think e-trons for me would be a vehicle that I'd be looking at if I was in the market for an electric car at the moment, because they've dropped so much in value. They've basically halved in value in a year, and so some great buys to be had. So my first one, if you're looking for a family perspective, would be your Audi e-tron. The next one, a little bit more sporty, and I'm sure you've seen many videos on YouTube around these, but I would look at Porsche Taycans, and these are Porsche Taycans that are, again, 2022. Let's just drop it down, so get up to what, 3 years old, 3 years old. Again, on here, if we list by lowest, these are great value now. If you were in the market for a Porsche Taycan, there are some really, really good value cars here, considering they were basically £100,000 new. So a lot of these cars are doing quite low miles. If you look at them generally, 13,000 miles, 18,000 miles, that's from 30,000 miles, 22,000 miles, all dropped in price. You'll see all the Taycans generally have dropped in price by significant amounts, this one by £13,000. And they're all around the 50 mark now. This is also the Estate, which I really like. This is the Cross Turismo, I believe. And when these came out, these were serious money, like into the 100 plus for one of these. And now you can pick one up for 56. Although it's still not cheap, it is much better value than what they were trading at. And this dealer's had it on since August and cannot sell it. And I think these are the vehicles, what I was talking about, people finishing lease deals through businesses and then getting sold to the trade. This is probably where they end up. So right now, if you're in the market for, well, a performance car, a sports car, maybe something even a bit family orientated, the Taycans are a great buy right now because the price of them is much better than what they were new. And I can't really see Porsche Taycans recovering from this now, even though they are brilliantly built vehicles. And I've driven one before, amazingly quick and capable cars. They're excellent value considering what they were brand new if we were to compare those two things. So Porsche Taycan would be my second choice if I was looking at a more sporty version vehicle. If I was looking for a more sporty vehicle. And the last one on my list would be something a bit more, let's have a look at, a bit smaller, a bit more of like a town runaround. I would be going for a Mini, if we can find it, the Mini electric vehicle. And again, these new, kind of 30 plus probably when they were new, and now you can get one, good mileage, 14k. Again, depends what you're looking at, but for me this seems pretty good value for money considering what they were new, and the fact that they're a great little runaround as because it's a one owner from new 2022. Kind of nothing not to like about that really. Electric vehicle will do your town driving easily. You know, mini built, so basically BMW, essentially, £14,900. You know, much better than, let's say, when they were new and they were kind of towards the 30 mark. You can get some great deals at the moment. And I really like Minis, actually, overall. They are bringing out a Mini convertible electric vehicle soon, but I think, again, the list price of that is 30 plus. This is 15,000, only done 18,000 miles. Great value, and also this has also dropped quite a bit as well. So you had this on since the 6th of December, and you can see on here with my little tracker tool that I've got on here that it can drop and drop and drop through here. This is dropped by £2,000 here, so also helps you when you're negotiating to buy your next car with the Auto Trader Price Tracker. Is quite a good tool for that. That would be my pick, my top 3 pick of vehicles. If I was looking at buying an electric vehicle today, they're the ones I'd be looking at, depending what category I was after. But I hope that's been an interesting insight into the electric vehicle market here in the UK. It's been a very weird time. There's been a lot of deductions all round. Subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts about the market at the moment, and particularly electric vehicles. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you very soon.